Ago Ghana, Ago Omambapa. I am a proud and trained firefighter, trained to save lives and properties. At the NSCA, at the Memuni Metri Dowry, at the NSCA, Namabadani to Memuni Townfree. Share, Ubieja Padian NSCA, Ubieja Padian is a demono. And me Kodumuno auto to Bobomi. Me Kodumuno, Udidi Matemi. Minya mense. Mother Funfon send one tea and see them refer. Debbie, and yes, I need to say me. I said, and say, a boy Japadia, and no one combine a dear future. She Yami, everyone chain, and no more. And no cuckoo draw, but the big Jamachi. A brand me Dijuma, a dear Jack Crown. Yes, when everybody's running away from the fire, I repeat, we face it. So stop harassing the firefighter whilst he performs his core duty. Uni aneme, I'm assuming you know. Uhi odum jajuma enino, no dum jajuma enino su hiao. BBC, I won't tell you, a yapping chichimu, and fam rano and so some. Penny say, one some, one in nipa. God bless our homeland Ghana. God bless Ghana National Fire Service. God bless the chief officer. And God bless the firefighter. Fire, safety. Uja, where is it? The bravest, we don't take cover. The rest, away.
Fire service friends and why?
So please call 100.
You want to greet me? That's why you called.
Number we can say we frachi ame pa na wa hade. Obi fie she ofre, obi pe ambulance ofre, obi hwehwe police ofre. Who ofre no die enchia enim e pa cho. It's an emergency line. Stop playing with it.
Coaching. Never know she did.
You're from fire service. You're from Mamba, better West Amazon or Moba. You bet to me a fire service.
Emergency call center.
Okay, Sofo Line bus station. You said what is burning?
My store.
Your store?
Yes.
Are you there yourself?
My name is Quadrapel.
Your name is Kodrapel?
Yes.
Mr. Kodrapel, can I have your telephone number?
Emergency call center. How may I help you?
Hello. You were not talking with anybody. This is emergency line. And I told you it's the emergency line. I told you were playing with the line. You said, no, I'm not playing with the line. Why do you do that as a child? Why do you do that? It's an emergency line. I told you are playing with the line. You said, no, don't do that. Don't do that again. Let me speak to your mommy.
Huh? My mom is
Somebody is just saying one kasa.
my younger brother.
Don't do that again.
He's not one of them.
Yes, so don't call the line. Okay? It's an emergency line. Stop playing with it.
Emergency call center.
You can't get it, please.
Emergency call center.
I cannot get the number.
No, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Me too.
Oh, Jenny. Oh, your mommy. Mommy, near Mother.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
How may I help you?
Hello? Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Hi, fire service friend here and why?
Remember, this is what your neighbor goes through when the fire service emergency lines are abused. These victims have lost their property to fire outbreak. They say the emergency lines did not go through for them while trying to reach the service for assistance, and upon arrival of the firemen, they have lost everything to the fire.
When they come out, when there are five problems, the 5 person is supposed to be alert.
The Fire Master Control at the national headquarters of the Ghana National Fire Service plays a critical role in coordinating emergency responses and managing fire incidents. Here are some key aspects of what happens at the FMC.
Emergency call center, how may I help?
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
How may I help you?
How may I help you? Hello?
Hello, Nape.
Hello?
It is a cacophony of ringtones from the telephones in this office. The control room hums with anticipation. Dispatchers sit hunched over their consoles, eyes scanning the screens, ears attuned to the slightest sound.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Emergency call center, how may I help?
The FMC serves as a central hub for receiving emergency calls related to fires, accidents, and other incidents before the dispatch of the firemen and tenders to the emergency scene. The center does not only receive fire emergency cases but other calls that will need the service of other emergency, be it the police service, ambulance service, or the National Disaster and Management Organization, NADMO. FMC also collates all fires that happens in the country.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Level 4. The address of fire. The pharmacy is called what? They said that there's a house sent down. Near Villa. So can you give me the name? That is Victor Indian Lima Lima Alpha. Victor Indian Lima Lima Alpha.
Based on the information received, the FMC dispatches fire crews, rescue teams, and other resources to the incident location. The FMC tracks the availability and location of firefighting vehicles, equipment, and personnel. They ensure efficient resource allocation to tackle multiple incidents simultaneously. The FMC maintains communication with field units, providing real-time updates and guidance. Incident commanders rely on FMC information to make informed decisions during firefighting operations.
So area on the peace, the fire, the incident, you are not a friend number, why?
When making an emergency call to services like 192 and 112, providing accurate information is crucial for efficient dispatch. Your name, location, telephone number, nearest landmark, what is burning is required to assist in the dispatch of the crew. After spending almost an hour in the control room, there was no single call on emergency. They are all prank.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Emergency call center, how may I help you? Hello?
Emergency call center, how may I help
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
How may I help you?
How may I help you? Hello?
Hello, Nape.
Hello.
Emergency call center, how may I help you? Oh, what's up, Fred? Eh?
Emergency call center.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, which one?
What's the name?
You need it 1 million.
I'll give you 1 million.
Call center, how may I help you?
Okay, I've heard you.
You.
Bye-bye.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Higher fire service, friends here and why?
Hello? Bye-bye.
I was given 10 minutes to have a feel of how tedious it is for the officers receiving prank calls.
I'm the first responder. Emergency call center, how may I help you?
So, madam, since you entered, I think you entered at 10. Yes. Since you entered, all the calls are coming up.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Business fire service, call MTN.
Emergency.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Business fire service, call MTN.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
You know, an emergency number, so it's on the phone. Someone is called without phone.
Emergency call center, how may I help you?
For the officers who answer these calls, it's a familiar dance, one that tests their patience, resilience, and professionalism. After the 10 minutes, I was amazed at how the public abuses the fire service emergency lines.
Even the A is even enough.
Number we can say Frachi me pa na wa hadwen obi fie she ofre obi pe ambulance ofre obi hwehwe police ofre hu no de enchia enim me pa chew esa no mo aka say ya fre fire service a yen san ka hom ya fre police wo mo ma e fre ambulance wo mo ma na wo nchia na abedi why
You want to do what?
Madam interrupted.
You want to do what? Weeds.
emergency call center how may I help
You want to do what?
greet you
Fire, good morning.
You want to greet me. That's why you called. Do you know this is an emergency
They
number?
didn't listen to the transmission very well, even though
And you called
I
to
said
greet
the
me.
Good morning.
So please call 100. Thank you, sir.
Natasha, higher fire service in one minute on you.
Now it is time to take availability. The time to know which fire tender is in commission or out of commission.
So Hotel Cuban.
Good afternoon, Fire Master Control. Recruit Firewoman Aldi Samira, Firewoman Aqua, and ADO to Saki on duty at Hotel Cuban South Divisional Control. Blue Watch on duty. ADO Nuno in charge. MPC number 545 and RCC pickup number 4 Sorry 996 in commission. 23 Hotel Quebec House.
Swiffy Oscar.
That's not bad, Master. It's the Gloria. That's the same Oscar. South Divisional Control. Red Watch Control. Water tender number 7215 commission. 23 the pay of the house.
Swifty Salah.
Absolute Fire Master Control. HGO understanding of the phone and Firewoman Vera Abdul on duty at the Digital Judicial Control. Blue Watch of duty. Station Officer 2 Suleiman Abdullah charge. Water tender number Foster Era 676 information. Strength already 15 out.
Swifty Kassan.
Good afternoon, Fire Master Control. DGO Odewa and AGO2 and etc. on duty at SP Captain Sub-Divisional Control. Green Watch on duty. Station Officer 2 Odo in charge. Water Center number 4 Sierra 736 in commission. 23 SP Captain out.
Swifty Astra.
Yellow Watch on ADO to operate with DBC number Auto Sierra 474 out of control.
Roger, strength 3 to all stations.
Prank calls, often made with intent to deceive or cause panic, pose a significant challenge for emergency services officers. These calls divert valuable resources, disrupt operations, and can escalate into dangerous situations. From statistics from the Ghana National Fire Service, from January 2023 to December 2023, the service received 798,924 prank calls. On a daily basis, FMC receives over 2,000 prank calls, over 15,000 weekly, and over 66,000 monthly. The acting officer in charge of the Fire Master Control is Divisional Officer Grade 1, Irene Saki.
You know, this room is a 24-hour room. So we receive about 1,000 and over every round. 1,100 to 1,200 prank calls a day.
I'm talking of fire outbreaks.
Within a day, it depends on the season. Generally, it is domestic. But if in the rainy season, we receive a lot of electrical fires. And then in the dry season, from December to March, bushfire becomes the highest. So it depends on the season, but generally it's domestic. So it means we are not doing something right in our various homes. They'll be calling and be asking of credits. They'll be asking of I have a problem with my mobile money. They will be insulting us. They'll be saying things that are not good.
Do you think the public is aware that there is an emergency line that we are misbehaving with the line?
You know, with the prank calls, some will call and when you ask them, per their response, they'll tell you, oh, I've sent my mobile money to a wrong person, so I wanted you to help me. So when you ask them which number they have called, they'll tell you they've called 100. So I don't know where the contradiction is, because the emergency line is 112 and not 100. But some intentionally call to play with the emergency line, and they are aware it's 112. And you know, because the 112 is free, that is why they've been calling. Meanwhile, we have other direct lines whereby they don't call. There are no prank calls on our direct lines. All the calls that they come are maybe emergencies or other administrative or personal calls.
When they do this prank calls, is there a way to track it?
Yes, we have the right to blacklist or block, but I don't encourage that.
DO1 Saki said the service will continue to intensify the education to help reduce the high rate of prank calls.
Our PR department and safety department, when they go out, they educate the public not to play with the emergency 112. Yes, you know, this room is a 24-hour room, and we've been running 3 shifts a day. So let's say the morning shifts, they come and one of them blacklists a number. Don't you think when they close and go, or maybe the person may forget and will not unblock. What about if that caller needs his or her number to call for any other emergency? So I don't encourage blacklisting.
But at least maybe an action should be taken
Yeah,
so
no.
that to avoid those things.
Normally what we do
If
is
there's consideration, it means people will keep doing it.
normally what we do is when a number has called several times, we call the number back, right? Then we tell the person. Maybe at times they are not even aware. Mothers, some of their parents are not even aware their children are praying with the emergency line. So we tell them your son or your daughter has called that number several times and he or she is playing with the line. So kindly caution him or her. And normally the prank calls, they are in queue with the system. Whenever someone is calling the emergency 112, all the calls are in queue. So as and when we pick a call, it is the caller who determines whether it is a prank call or not. So if it is a prank call, quickly the person, the receiver hands, the operator hands it to make a way for another call. Yes, legally it will help. It will help. But I also believe we have to intensify our education, even to the schools, to the preschool children. We have to intensify our education concerning the prank calls. So we expect the public to call us in case of an emergency so that we will receive the call as early as possible, and we'll also dispatch our men as early as possible for them to get to the incident scene to be able to save lives and property from distraction.
In the world of emergency services, call takers and consuls play pivotal roles. Here is a glimpse into their responsibilities. The Deputy Director of the Fire Master Control is DO1 Kofi Danso.
The emergency call center comprises of the call taker console, the call dispatcher, the IVS, which is the Intelligent Video Surveillance, the EDC, which is the Enterprise Dispatch Console. The purpose of the call taker is to take incoming calls from the public. Now we have a unified emergency number, which is 112 for all the emergencies. That is for fire, police, NADMO, and the ambulance service. So when someone needs an assistant and calls 112, it goes to any of the emergencies. So we also have the call taker consoles, whereby we pick emergency calls from the public. So at first, when the caller calls, we have emergency call takers in all the consoles at the Fire Master Control, and we are using 3 call takers and 1 dispatcher. So we pick the call and we ask basic information what the caller needs, whether it concerns police, whether it's a robbery, whether there's an accident, they need police assistance, or they need ambulance service or rescue, or there's a fire outbreak, or there's an accident where they need fire help. After that, we receive all the information, then we dispatch to the appropriate quarters. So if it's a police case, in doing the dispatch, we send it to police, either NADMO or the ambulance or our fire service itself. Once the dispatch is done, it goes with a beep to the dispatch console, where the one sitting on the dispatch console can open it and view the case. So it gives a brief description about what is happening. So a dispatch message can read, there is a fire outbreak at Osu or at Osu Papaye. You understand? So when the dispatcher opens it, then he now knows that the appropriate station, which is closer to Osu, is the headquarters substation, which is Hotel Quebec. Then we dispatch the appliance to the appropriate quarters. So that is the role of the call dispatch. We follow up to the fire scene, the arrival at the scene. We got all those information, and when they are disposing of from the scene, that information too is recorded in the dispatch. So finally, we can print out the dispatch message as a case. So there's no need of even writing in books. You can do it as a soft copy, whereby you can print it out and get what? General information. There are other devices or other consoles like the IVS, which is the Intelligent Video Surveillance, which offers us the opportunity to view cameras that are installed across the country. So if you have observed, when you go to traffic intersections, there are cameras that are installed. So we have that console whereby we can change onto different cameras to view what is going on at a particular time. It's a live location something. So sometimes there could be a fire at a place, and these cameras can help us locate the fire, so that when the men are going to the fire ground, those who pick the calls will be able to give accurate information, so that they can accurately locate what the fire incident. And also we have the EDC, which is the Enterprise Dispatch Console, which is used to locate our handsets. The handset that we use, we can use the system to locate where everybody is holding this handset. That is the work of the EDC, and also we use it to program our handset into our group domain. That is the Ghana Fire Service. So basically, all these 4 consoles comprises to give us the emergency call center, where calls are taken and are processed. So basically, that is how the system works.
So is there a way to detect that this call is a prank call?
Prank calls, yes, there is a way to detect. When a caller calls and you try to ask of information, that is where you get to know that it's a prank call. One of the first thing that you know that it's a prank call, some of them, when you pick it, the person cuts it. And then someone will call you and be laughing on the phone. Automatically, you know that it's a prank call. Others will call and they will tell you that maybe my bedroom is on fire. You probe the location, and the person cuts the call. You understand? But calls that you are able to get accurate information about what is happening, those calls are considered what? The original or genuine calls. Because without those information, you will not be able to locate where the incident is happening. The cameras, they are installed at traffic intersection in front of the gate. There's a camera there. So we can view that camera at the fire master control, so that when something is happening outside, we'll be able to see it even first before somebody will report it. So the cameras are installed at intersections, some are installed at our airports, some are installed at government installation like the State House. You get some of the cameras there. You go to the sports stadium, there's a camera there, because when people do something unknowingly, these cameras are able to capture them, so that in case of maybe police investigation or maybe a fire related service, you will be able to get much information. Yes, for prank call, every caller that calls, his number do appears on the console, which we can retrieve. But what we cannot do is the location, with the second phase of the infrastructure is looking at an LBS, which is the location base. So that if you call and it's a prank call, your actual location we will get your actual location on the system, which is lacking now. Now what we get is the number of the caller. At times when you call the person, you will decide to pick or you might not decide to pick. But with the linkage of this Ghana card, you can use these numbers to track easily. If you want to track and you write to MTN Vodafone to see the name of the person. Once the number is registered, we can get the information of these people who run the system. Yes, apparently this whole infrastructure is for National Signals Bureau, which falls under National Security. They started a pilot program of arresting prank calls, those who need the prank calls. But I think it got to a time they stopped. You understand? Because the system actually is for them, and the calls that we are picking now is not peculiar to only fire. It has to be a unified something between all the bodies. That this is the way that we should go about prank calls, because the calls that we are picking now is not only fire calls. We pick calls for police, we pick calls for NADMO, for ambulance. So it's very difficult for you to prosecute in line with your agency, because it's a broad something, so that it will be an interagency or service matter. If fire service takes this responsibility, it will be very difficult, because you are not picking only fire calls, you are picking other agency related calls. So it should be a shared something that we will fight together. Sidelining ourselves is very difficult. And also education, as I said, it's very difficult for someone to call 999 outside, because the system will pick your location, and at the moment you see that there are police officers at your house. So education and sensitization for them to know that once you are calling, you are blocking a genuine emergency case. So I think basically, if people are well educated that 112 is a unified emergency call number, they will desist from using, because it's absolute free. If anybody picks the handset, it just calls the system and blows the system. Sometimes some people call without even knowing know that they've even pranked the system. So I think education is. So the general advice for the public is, once you are pranking the system, there is an emergency case which can either be a fire case, a fire related case, a robbery, or an accident that involves the assistance of an ambulance. But because you are pranking the system, the true emergency calls are waiting in a queue. So my advice to the public is that the emergency call number is 112 for all the services. But you should know that when you are calling 112, then it means that you are in need of there's an emergency, or there's a situation that you need the assistance of these agencies. Otherwise, you block the chance of others. So my advice is that let us use these numbers judiciously so that we can eliminate prank calls. Thank you.
When a crew is dispatched to a location but unable to locate the scene, it can be a frustrating and challenging experience. Hear what these firemen have to say.
We've been called to attend to fire at a particular location, and then you get there, you didn't see anything. You try as much as possible to trace the caller. Sometimes you call several times, they won't even answer. Sometimes they won't even call. And then you have to return to our base. You call the person several times, they won't answer the call. And so it's one of the stressful. Sometimes you have to, in the night, you move an appliance here to a certain location, and then you wouldn't find any fire. You call the person who called FMC, yet the person wouldn't respond. So it's a challenge to us.
Can you recollect some of the locations that?
Yes. There was one time in the night around 9 p.m. we were asked to dispatch our RTC vehicle to even an accident scene, and then we are around Central Hills. So we moved in there, and then when we were going, we couldn't see anything. So we tried calling the caller to give us the exact location where the accident happened. We called several times, he didn't answer. So we combed around the area several times, and then we relate back to FMC that we couldn't see anything. So we returned to our base. And so we moved in the night. Imagine we moved at a top speed just to go and rescue people in an accident scene. But we got there was nothing, and so we have to return. We've wasted fuel, we've wasted our time, and then we have to come back. So that is it.
How many times have you had that experience?
Oh, it's happened several times. It's on countless occasions. You know, we are in watches, and so sometimes it's not my watch alone. There are other watches that comes in who also have to attend to some of the false alarms. Our lines are always effective. Anytime you call, it comes through. It goes through FMC, and then they will direct us to the particular location. And so people shouldn't be calling anytime to see whether firemen will come around or not. It's very effective. As soon as you call, they will dispatch wherever you are. They will dispatch appliance or an RTC vehicle to that particular location to attend to wherever the accident happens. There are also times where people will call in, and then with some funny stuffs. There are some funny aspects of sometimes the whole thing. I don't know the reason behind calling. Sometimes someone will call you, and it's like maybe the beer is burning, and then maybe the person says he can't sleep, and then blah blah blah. Sometimes it's funny things. Sometimes let's laugh over it, and then you have to just ignore all those things.
I remember one time we had a call on RTC. If I say RTC, it means road traffic collision. When there is accident, they normally call the rescue team so that we go and effect rescue. I remember one time FMC called, said there was an incident at McCarthy Hill. So they dispatched the Quebec 6. But on the rush, you see, normally when they call a scene like that, within a space of minutes, we should be able to be at the scene. So we were in a hurry. The driver was, you see that kind of a thing, in a fast move. But when we get to McCarthy Hill, we realized there was nothing like accident. So we've gone past the area that they specified that the scene was. After getting there, we realized there is nothing. So we saw traffic policemen around. We have to approach them, ask them whether there's been any incident around or there's been any accident. But we realized it was a false alarm. So rather, we have to park the RTC vehicle at one side of the end, seeing and be asking questions about pedestrians or like passerby to see whether they've noticed or seen any accident. But we realized it was a false alarm. When that happens, then it means we have to call back to FMC to inform them that when we go, there was no trace of accidents. Then they have to reassign us back to bay. It's not about we going there or moving the car. When we get to the place, we realize there's nothing like that. But my experience is what the other road users, other car users were saying about us. Maybe you run past them, you're giving them the audio warning. So they felt like there is an incident, so they have to allow you to pass. But later they realize you've gone to park the car without doing anything. How would they feel? They'll feel that like you are intimidating them because they are ahead of you. You just want to come and pass by them. FMC has dispatched Quebec 4, that is the main appliance, to a fire call, let's say about at Agbogba. When we get to Agbogba, we realize there's no fire. Normally, those passerby, when they are passing by a building and they felt there is a smoke coming out of the building in which they've not searched, sometimes they may be thinking the occupants are not in. So they felt once smoke are coming out, they should alert fire service to come early to save the situation. So say maybe if the occupants are not there, we'll be able to help them in those situations. But when we get to the place, the appliance will be dispatched all right. But when you get to the scene, you realize no, there was no fire. Then in that scenario, it happens as if those people in the house now, they've gathered their own small garbages and they are burning them. It was the house people that arranged that kind of a fire, but they will feel like it was a real fire. But when we go, we realize it was a false alarm. So those one we classify as a false alarm with good intent. We are committed to save lives and properties. So if you are there and you felt you've seen any scene or you felt you've seen any fire, be sure of what you see. Be sure before calling the service lines, because normally when you call the lines under 1 minute, the fire master control, which is the FMC, will dispatch the appliance within a couple of minutes. So we are begging you, make sure of what you see and report it accordingly, so that we'll be able to be effectively render the service that we've committed to help the public with. We are begging you in the name of God, don't be calling when you've not seen anything. Thank you so much.
It's disheartening to hear that some callers resort to abusive language when misusing the 192, 112 emergency lines. The Director of Operations at the National Headquarters, DO1 Joseph Forson, was not happy about the situation.
Fire service, we do receive distress calls. And for that matter, people tend to, give us prank calls. It affects operations a lot. Fire service, we call something response time. Response time is the period within which the person will call. A distress caller will call us, we receive it, and the time we get to the address of the caller. Now, if we receive a prank call and the actual caller is coming, if the prank calls are many, it will queue it on the console. So once it queues, it delays our time to respond. So if even the person is calling from maybe about 2 kilometers away, we may experience these prank calls for several, at times about 10 prank calls before his call will go through. So by the time we receive the call, it means that we will take more time to get to the scene, even though it's a maybe 2 kilometer radius call. And once we get there, instead of us starting the fire at its incipient or early stages, the fire might have gone to developed stage. And then when the fire reaches developed stage, there's very little we can salvage. So prank calls affect us, not only fire service, it affects the community as well, because people's items or properties may be destroyed through this lack of us being able to get there through prank calls. And again, it also disturbs us. It doesn't make us realize the effectiveness of our operational activity, because if the prank calls continue to persist, we will be sometimes we will go there is no fire. Oh, my heart is burning. You go there's no heart. I mean, the person is referring to his heart in his system. So sometimes it affects us, not that sometimes it affects our operation activities. Sometimes they will call, oh, is that Ghana National Fire Service? Then the ladies will respond, yes sir, what can we do for you? My heart is burning. Even your voice alone is cooling my heart. Sometimes they will call, oh, my house is burning. They will put the phone on. Sometimes they will call you. They will tell you there's a vehicular fire at Dodowa. They will mention a place. You will drive from, let's say, Medina to Dodowa, or from Dodowa fire station to the location. Mind you, we are using fuel, wear and tear. You see, all these contribute to our ineffective during our operations. So when they call you, my house is burning, they will bang up the call, my house is burning. Somebody will go further. Oh, the fire involves a house. It is at Nungwa. Then the person will bang the phone. So you drive to Nungwa, trying to do what we call station outlook to see whether you can see smoke to determine where the fire is. Then you have to come back to the station. Meanwhile, you've wasted a lot of fuel, you wasted a lot of time, you wasted wear and tear. So it affects our operation activities seriously. Oh yes, it's a mischievous act. And or I might say it's a malicious act. So once it is a malicious act, when you are caught, you can be prosecuted. Because the moment you do this, you are disturbing the actual caller who needs our help. Of course, it's not going to be easy. But in future, we will have this kind of gadget that can track a prank caller.
Ghana National Fire Service gives out the 192 or 112 to the public during their safety education should one need an emergency service, but the situation sometimes turns out to be different. DO1 Joseph Forson says these lines are not to be pranked.
If I'm educating you and maybe fire safety education and I give out the number, I expect you to call there and then, so that at least everybody will know that, oh, you are trying to test the line. Of course, people blame us that we've called the fire service, they don't respond, they don't come. So sometimes I will tell you, call fire service. I can tell you now, call fire service. Use 0299340643. Call. When you call, the lady will pick, oh, this is a test call. My name is so and so. I'm here with DO Forson. We are doing maybe basic fire service education. Thank you. It's louder. Okay. But after training them, you go home before you realize the prank calls will become. Normally, they have to tell their folks, their children, in case of any emergency, call Ghana National Fire Service on this line 112 or 0299340383 or 0299340643. Now, the moment you give to them, especially the children, they want to, call and find out whether it is fire service or what, and that increase the number of prank calls that you receive. But of course, over a period, it dies out. But that doesn't mean that the prank call stops. It keeps on coming, especially when schools vacate. Those are the times that we receive a lot of prank calls. When the schools are on vacation, we receive a lot of prank calls, and you can see that small lady or small girl just talking, just making noise on the phone. It doesn't help. So my advice is people should desist from giving us prank calls, because when you give us prank calls, it blocks the actual distress caller, and the actual distress caller needs our prompt response, so that we can either salvage some items or save that life and then save the environment as well. So please desist from giving us prank calls. It is not the best way to see our nation growing.
The team spoke to the Public Relations Officer ACFO1 Timothy Osafo-Efum for more answers.
It has been a practice of Ghanaians that when they are home and have nothing to do, they will just pick and call the emergency lines. It is not only restricted to fire emergencies. All the other emergency services receive their portion. But I think the ones coming to fire service is very high. I may not know the reason why, but what we must know is that the emergency lines are for emergency purposes. If you don't have any emergency situation, don't call the emergency line. Because if you abuse the emergency lines, it means when your brother, your sister has a situation to be attended to and he wants to get through, will not be able to get through for us to attend to him on time. So it is important that we leave the emergency lines for only those who have emergencies.
Are there instances where firemen have been dispatched and there is no incidents?
The lines are for emergency purposes, and so if you don't have emergency, don't call. What is happening is that if you are able to beat our systems that we have put in place, it means the emergency vehicle will be dispatched to an incident that does not exist, non-existent incidents. Meanwhile, because our stations are wide apart, at that same particular time, another person who has a genuine case may have called, and because we have dispatched the fire tender or the appliance to a non-existent incident, we need to dispatch another appliance for a far distance to attend to you. And this explains the reason why sometimes people will complain that we were able to get through and it took them a longer time to come. And so my advice to the general public is that our resources are not adequate for us to spare some on going on chasing spree where there is no existence of such an emergency. And so to help all of us, please don't place any prank calls, because if a time is coming that if we get you, you face the law. That one, it is what the court says and not what the fire service says.
The prank calls is on the rise when schools are on vacation. ACFO 1, Timothy Osafo-Efom, called on parents to advise their wards to stop pranking the fire service emergency lines.
The law is no respecter of person, whether you are a child or an adult. These children learn from their parents. And so I expect the same parents who taught their children to make the prank calls to also educate them to put a stop to it. My advice to you, my children, is that the fire service and other emergency services are there to help you. And so once we are there to help you, we expect you to also help us by not making any prank call when you don't have an emergency. If you continue to make prank calls and the law catches up with you, you have a dent on your future because you will be jailed. And once you are jailed, you will be called a criminal. So please, if you want a better future, put a stop to making prank calls. Most of the things that they say to us are unprintable, which I cannot repeat here. But one that I can repeat to all of us to hear is that there is fire on maybe my mother's somewhere. So please come and extinguish it for me. As a child, if your parents are teaching you this, is it good for us as a nation? I don't think it is good. So parents, let's ensure that we teach our children very good ethics.
Handling prank calls is far from trivial for emergency services officers. As we reflect on the impact of swatting, it becomes evident that addressing this issue requires vigilance, collaboration, and legal consequences for offenders. As to whether the service is putting measures in place to arrest culprits, this is what ACFO 1 Osafo-Efom had to say.
It is an offense to make a prank call. But I think most Ghanaians are not aware of this. And so we had wanted to move into action by arresting people and prosecute them. But we've been advised that because people are not very clear that what they are doing is an offense, we should put in an educational drive to create that necessary awareness. So as part of our educational programs, we have incorporated this in to ensure that by the close of the year, we have done a lot of education to create that awareness, so we can then move on to arrest people and prosecute them.
Next time the school bell rings, remind the young prankers the 192 and 112 emergency lines are no laughing matter.
Call fire service.
Pranking emergency lines is not only irresponsible but also dangerous. It jeopardizes lives and property. Prank calls divert valuable resources and attention away from legitimate emergencies, potentially causing delays in response times to actual life-threatening situations. And avoid abusive words when you call. It is time the general public desist from this behavior, because anyone who engaged in abusing these lines will soon face the law. Let us honor the sacred digits, the 192 and the 112. Let's teach respect for the lifelines. Despite the silence, dispatchers persevere. They know their role matters, the lifeline between chaos and order. They are the unsung heroes, the ones who wait, who listen, who keep the channels open. Their dedication transcends the absence of emergencies. So, to those who wait in the control room, The Ghana National Fire Service salutes you. Your patience, your readiness is essential. Even when the calls don't come, your presence matter. Let's say no to prank calls.
So please call 100.
You want to greet me? That's why you called.
Number we oka say o frachi am pa na wa hadin. Obi fie she ofre, obi pe ambulance ofre, obi hwehwe police ofre. Who ofre no die enchia enim e pa cho. It's an emergency line. Stop playing with it.
I go Ghana, I go Omambapa. I am a proud and trained firefighter, trained to save lives and properties. At the end of the year, at the Memuni Metri Dowry, at the end of the year, na mabedani ti Memuni Tanfui. Share, Ubieja Padi next year no. Ubieja Padi ni Jademuno. Amikodumuno autoto buobo mi. Mi kodum no a udidi matemi minya mense madofofo nsanwu onti ensi demrifa dabi enye sane etete miye masade ne se na bo ajapade ene won kon ban ede efiru jahihye ho nyame yefiri won chen ene wo moa ene wo kokoduru a odi begina machi abra mi di djuma ede age akra nkwa. Yes, when everybody is running away from the fire, I repeat, we face it. So stop harassing the firefighter whilst he performs his core duty. Uni aneme, I'm assuming you know. Uhi odum jajuma enino, no dum jajuma enino su hiao. BBC, I won't tell you, a yapin chichimu, and fam rano and show some. Penny say, one some, one nipa. God bless our homeland Ghana. God bless Ghana National Fire Service. God bless the chief officer. And God bless the firefighter. Fire, safety. Uja, where is it? The bravest, we don't take cover. The rest, away, away, away.